How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Mem Tes, Daf 49 of Masechta Sotah. Friends, well today obviously is the last Daf of Masechta Sotah. I feel like I should be more excited, but I'm not. It's shtickle tedious Daf, and it's like late over here, so my apologies for not being excited. We got a lot to do. Maybe I'll be a little bit excited at the end, but we'll see. Okay, so let's start on Daf Mem Ches Amud Beis, 4 lines from the bottom. So the Mishnah had said that when the second temple was destroyed, then there were no longer any people that were people of faith. That's people who believe in God. The Tanya is willing to Bryce Rabbi Eliezer Agadol. Omer says Rabbi Eliezer Agadol. That's pretty cool. A fellow who what's my neighbor yelling about? I don't really know. Okay. And she's not yelling at anybody for making noise because now she's the one making noise. Okay. So anybody who has bread to eat, but they're still worried about what they can eat tomorrow, but has no faith. How do you guys understand that? It's kind of interesting. Feels like an interesting concept. What if if you have everything, then you're good. Don't worry about anything. I don't know. How do you understand that, friends? Sounds like an interesting line. Rabbi Elazar says, ki mi baz liom katnos ktanos migarim letzadikim sheisbaz bizu shulchan lasulavom, who caused the tzadikim that they'll receive less in the world to come. Katnos shahaya bayin shloiminu b'kadosh baruch Hu. It's that they didn't believe in God enough, so therefore it takes away from their reward in the future. Rav Amar elu Ketani b'nei Rishei Yisrael. This is referring to the young children of the Nudniks of Israel who die in their parents' lifetime. That basically, instead of their parents getting punished in the future, these children are going to stick up for their parents and they're going to say, the fun of Ribbon Shalom, they say, Master of the world, if you were going to be meaning you have these nudniks, and the nudniks have kids. The kids die in their nudnik's lifetime. So now the kids go to heaven. They say to God, "Hey, if you're going to punish our parent, if you're going to punish my father, so punish him in the future in Olam Haba. Now you're also punishing him in Olam Hazeh." And then they basically negotiate with God, and I think they basically work out so that they don't get punished as bad later on. Amr Bila bar Yivarechia. If not for David's prayer, you call Yisrael Mocher Rivav. All the Yidden would basically sell unpleasant things. They would have unpleasant jobs basically. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Shisa Hashem Moreloim. But Habakkuk, David prayed that God should give the Yidden more respectable jobs. I don't know what they're yapping about outside. From Rabila bar Yivrechia. If not for Habakkuk's prayer, how you based on If not for Habakkuk's prayer that God should take care of the Talmidei Chachamim, if not for that, then you would have 2 Torah scholars that would cover themselves in the same cloak in order to keep warm in order to study Torah because they were so poor. Shnemar, as the pasuk says, Hashem shemaiti shemacha yiresi. God, I've heard you and I'm scared of you and everything. Hashem pa'alcha b'karuv shanim chayeu. Don't read it Bekarev Shanim, rather Bekarev Shnaim. Read it that 2 Torah scholars would have to be so close together because they were so poor and covering the same blanket and stuff. So if you have 2 Torah scholars that are walking, and they're not talking Torah, so they're fit to be burnt in fire. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, that Elisha and Elijah were walking together, and they were speaking Torah. And a fiery chariot came and took Eliyahu and Navi up to heaven. The reason why nobody got hurt is the Ikadibur, because they were talking in Torah. But if they were not talking in Torah, then they would have gotten burnt up. Says if you have 2 Torah scholars who live in the same city, but they don't enjoy each other's company in halacha. Maybe they disagree with each other, they don't talk to each other. One of them is going to die, the other one is going to be exiled. As the pasuk says, that a murderer goes to near miklat asher yitzach asur bivli das, that he kills somebody bivli das. Ve'ein das el Torah, and das is Torah. So if you have these two Torah scholars, but they don't connect with each other on Torah matters, so then they'll have to end up, one of them dies, one of them goes near miklat. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, nidmu ami mibli das, that my nation was silenced because of a lack of das, which refers to Torah study and collaboration here, I guess. Amr Yehuda Breder B'chia Kol Talmid Chacham Osek B'Torah Mitoch Hadchak Tfilos Nishmas. Says Rabbi Yehuda Breder B'chia that any Talmid Chacham who studies Torah, even when things are difficult, so his prayers are going to be heard. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Ki Am B'Tzion Yeshiv Yerushalayim, that the nation lives in Jerusalem. B'chol Osivke, don't cry. Chanun Yochnecha L'Kol Zaykecha. And God will answer you. That it's talking about people who have very little food and very little water, but God is going to answer their prayers. That they satisfy these Talmidei Chachamim from the radiance of the divine presence. As the pasuk says, that your eyes will see your teacher. Also the curtain, I guess the curtain by God will not be locked from them. That your teacher, that God will not be hidden. From the day that the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, so Rabbi Yeshua said that there's no day that does not have curses. That every day the curses get worse and worse. As the pasuk says, that in the morning you'll say, if only it could be like the night before. And at night you say, if only could have been like this morning. Hey Boker, which Boker are we talking about? Which morning are we talking about? If you're going to say that every night they're praying that it should just be tomorrow already, but why would you want tomorrow? You don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. So if rather it must be the previous day, right? So every night you're saying, why is it nighttime? I wish we could just go back to the morning. It's just getting worse and worse. Well then, if every single day the world is getting worse and worse and more curses, then how does the world even exist anymore? Mind-blowing. Because of the Kedusha de Sidra, which is basically Kadosh, like in Avodat Zion, for example, we say, right, the Kadosh, and Baruch Kvod Hashem, and we say the Aramaic there as well. Rashi says something awesome. In the Rashi to the right, Dibra Maskal Kedusha de Sidra, say there Kedusha shelo tiknua ella sheyu kol Yisrael oskim b'Torah b'chol yom tvarmut. That they set up this Kedusha de Sidra so that the Yidden should at least be studying a little bit of Torah every single day, even if it's a minimal amount, just by saying this Kedusha de Sidra. And also Yesh Mirabah de Agadata, that on Shabbos they would have a shir every single Shabbos, and people would show up and go to the shir because they weren't working or anything. They can come to the shir, and then afterwards they would say Kaddish, and they would say Yesh Mirabah. And on account of these things, the Kedusha de Sidra and the Yesh Mirabah de Agadata, the world is Mikayim. Pretty awesome. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, Eretz Efasa Kmo Ofel Tzamavis, that the land is very dark, like a really bad, deathly dark. Below Sidarim, and there are no orders. So Yesh Sidarim, but if there is the orders, like Kedusha de Sidra, so then Tofia Me'ofel, then they won't be dark anymore. And the dew will not come back, will not fall in blessing, and the flavor will be, and the smell will be taken from the fruits. Tanya, Reb Shimon ben Elazar, Omer says Reb Shimon ben Elazar, Tyra Botla tam v'reach. So when purity went away, so did the flavor and smell of fruits. Meiser bitel shuman, and when people when the meiser went away, so then I guess people stopped giving meiser. Is that what it is? Yeah. So then bitel shuman dagan, then the creaminess, the richness of the grain went away. Rafuna ashkach tumursa dechinuniso. Rafuna found a very creamy rich date. Shakla karcha b'sudri. So he took it and he wrapped it in his handkerchief. Omar also Rabba Bray, and then Rabba Bar Ravuna came. Amarle Morchina Recha Dechinunisa. And Rabba Bar Ravuna says to his father Ravuna that I smelled the smell of a geschmacke date. Amarle Bini Tara Yesh Becho. So Ravuna says you must have a lot of purity, because purity is related to the flavor and smell of fruits. Yavanile, so Ravuna gave it to his son Rabbi Bar Hufuna Adachi, also Abba Brei. But then Rabbi Bar Hufuna's son Abba came, Shakli Yava Niele, and then Rabbi Bar Hufuna gave the date to his son. Omar Le. So Rav Huna says to Rabbi Bar Hufuna, B'ni samachta slibi, you made me very happy when you demonstrated your purity by smelling the date. V'kisa eshena, but you also blunted my teeth by giving it then away to your son. Hanu da'amri inshe, this is what people say, Rachmei da'aba abnei, that a father has rachamim, compassion for his son, rachmei da'bnei, but the son's compassions lie abnei da'havulei, on his own kids, right? So Rabbah was rewarding. Rav Huna was rewarding his son Rabbi Bar Hufuna by giving him the date, but then Rabbi Bar Hufuna, had a special place in his heart for his own son, so he gave away Rav Huna's reward to his own son rather than keeping it for himself. So Rav Huna wanted Rabbi Bar Hufuna to have it, but then Rabbi Bar Hufuna gave it away. Rav Acha Bar Yaakov Itbal Bei Rav Yaakov Bar Barte, Rav Acha Bar Yaakov raised his grandson, Rav Yaakov, the son of his daughter, Kigadel, and then when his grandson got older, Amalei, Rav Acha Bar Yaakov says to his grandson, Ashkayin Maya, bring me some water to drink. Amalei Lab Brichona. He says, look, I'm not your son, I don't need to do Kibbut Aveim. V'anu Damar Inshe, Rabbi Bar Techona. And this is what people say, that a kid says, raise me, and then when you ask him for some water, he says, look, I'm not your son, I'm just your grandson, leave me alone. It says in the Mishnah, that when Vespasian was being a big nudnik and causing trouble in Israel, so they said that the grooms can't wear these things on their heads anymore. And also they made a gzera about the irus, which is some kind of musical instrument. When Titus was being a nudnik, ataros kalos, so they also the bride stopped wearing these things on their head. V'shlo yilamid otem as beno yuvanis, and a fellow should not teach his son Greek. Bepulmus ha'achron, and then on the final nudniking, destroying of Israel's stuff, which was also Titus, gazu shalatetze akala b'pirion, they said that a bride should not go out in this special bride thingy, like chariot kind of thingy, but that she would sit in Besocha Ir in the city. But the rabbi said, nah, it's okay. That she'd go out into this movable thingy in the city. When Rab Meir died, the people who would tell metaphors and parables died. Right? Rab Meir was the last man of metaphors. When Ben Azai died, the people who really studied Torah in shakdonus and very in diligence died. Right, as we learned in Masechta Yevamos, that Ben Azai said, right, that Ma'aseh shenafshi choshka b'Torah, right, he didn't get married because all he wanted to do was study Torah. Mishamez Ben Zoma, when Ben Zoma died, the people who really knew how to expound the Torah died. Right, as the Mishnah says in Masechta Brachos, shelo zachisi shetiyom yitzias b'Mitzrayim balayla ad shedrosha Ben Zoma. Mishemesh Rabbi Akiva batal kvod Torah. When Rabbi Akiva died, honor of the Torah went away, because Rabbi Akiva, we darshaned every single detail of every single letter in the Torah, which taught a particular kvod Torah. Mishemesh Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa batal anshe ma'aseh. When Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa died, so the people of special actions died. Right, of course. Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa was like a miracle worker. He had all these interesting stories with him. Mishemesh, miraculous stories. Mishemesh Rabbi Yossi, when Rabbi Katonto and Rabbi Yossi Katonto died, Pasuk Chassidim, the Chassidim, and they were no longer any Chassidim. V'lomen kashma Katonto. Why is his name Katonto? Sha'aya Katonto Chassidim, because he was the least of the Chassidim. Okay. Mishemesh Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, when Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai died, batal zeva chochma, the radiance of wisdom went away. Mishemesh Rabbi Gamliel Azaken, when Rabbi Gamliel Azaken died, batal kvod Torah, honor of the Torah went away. And Rashi says that at that point, sort of like a strength went away. That before then people were able to study Torah standing. From then they had to sit. Mesa Tyra Ufrishus, as well as also purity and I guess separating in a certain way, when staying away from things, separating, went away as well. Mishmeis Reb Yishma ben Pabi Batla Ziv Kahuna, when Reb Yishma ben Pabi died, so the radiance of Kahuna went away. Apparently he was a wealthy fellow and he used to host a lot of Kohanim. Mishmeis Rebbe Batla Anav of Yerschet, when Rebbe died, so humility and fear of sin went away. Tana one of the Rabbis Pinchas ben Yair Omer says Pinchas ben Yair Mishchav Beis Hamikdash Boshu Chaverim Uvnei Chorin, that when the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, so the Chaverim, like the Talmidei Chacham and the people with yichus, come from good families, they were embarrassed v'chafu rosham, and they, I don't know, embarrassed their heads ish, like covered, embarrassed their heads. V'nidalzu anshe Maisa, and like the people of actions, like kind of went away, I guess. V'gavu b'alei zrua, and nudniks kind of came in. U'v'alei loshen, and nudniks who didn't speak nicely. V'ein dorish, v'ein vakish, v'ein shol, and there was nothing there was nothing anybody did about it or was able to do about it. Ami lanu lishan, so we rely upon Avinu Shabashamayim, on our Father in heaven. From the time that the Beis Hamikdash was, from the day the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, so the Chachamim, who were like great Talmidei Chacham, they dropped down a level to just be like I think teachers, right? And the teachers then dropped down a level to be like the people who work in the synagogues. And those people became, the people working in the synagogues became like just the regular people. And the regular people, Azla Vidildla Vinjol Mavakesh, and they just became the regular people just became, I guess, less than regular people, and then but nobody was doing anything about it or able to do anything about it. Ami yesh li shayin, who can we rely upon? Avinu Shabashamayim, on our Father in heaven. Be'ikvis mishicha chutz bayaske. That's pretty famous. That in the heels of the Messiah, at the very end, right before Mashiach comes, there's going to be a lot of, I say chutz bayaske, I don't know, strange, not so good stuff. I don't know, v'yoker yamir, and price of living will be very hefty. Agef tit imperia vayayin bioker. There will be lots of grapes, but yet it will be hard to come by wine. Umalchus teafech leminus, and the kingship will become, I don't know, nudniki. Ve'ein tochachas, and there's no rebuke. Nobody's able to give rebuke. Beisvadye, there's nus, the place of where the Talmidei Chacham would generally meet will become for harlots. Ve'agol yechariv, and the Galilee will be destroyed. Ve'agavlan yishom, and a place called Gavlan will be destroyed. Ve'anshe agvul yisovvu meir leir, and the people on the borders will just wander around from one city to the next. V'loichonenu, and I don't know, they won't be like settled anywhere, I guess. Ve'chachamos sofrim tisrach, and the wisdom of like the Talmidei Chacham will be like, I don't know, like not frowned upon. And those who fear sin, nobody will really, I don't know, they'll be frowned upon. And it'll be hard to find truth. Truth will be hidden. And the young people will embarrass the old people. Older people will be standing up for younger people, which makes no sense. Of a son will disgrace his father, bas kama be'ima, and a daughter will like go up against her mother, kala b'chamosa, and a daughter-in-law with her mother-in-law. Oive ish anshe beso, the enemies of a fellow will be the people of his house. Pnei ador ke pnei akeleb, the face of the generation is like the face of a dog. Haben enum is bayish me'aviv, a son is not embarrassed in front of his father. Va'alma yishlanu lishayin, with all of this lunacy, who can we rely upon? Avinu Shabashamayim, on our Father in heaven. Alright, for this next part, I'm just bringing back out the art school shtickle, and because there's just like some really technical stuff. So Amar Rav says, Rav Loshanu Ella Shal Melech v'Gafres. When they said that the grooms can't like put like these like thingies on their head, so then that's talking about these thingies, wreaths that are made out of salt and sulfur. But if they're made out of hadassim, or out of if they're made of myrtle or of roses, so then mutter, that's okay. Shmuel says even if they're made out of hadas or roses, it's not okay. Mutter, but if it's made out of reeds or sedges, that's okay. Whereas Levi says even if it's made out of reeds or of hedges, it's no good. And also Levi taught in his brises, right? Because Levi had his own like brises. So also, so even if it's made out of reeds or sedges, it's also vala irus, and they said that you can't like use this irus. My irus, what's irus? It's a bell with one clapper. Rab Barfuna Avadle, the very tanbura. Rab Barfuna made for his son a tambourine for the wedding of his son. Also, Avu Tavre, Rabbi Barfuna's father, Ravuna, smashed the tambourine. Wow. He said, you don't use the tambourine because people might confuse it with this one clappered bell. Zil avidle apum dechatz, but rather go and make your son a drum across the mouth of an urn, or apum de pisa, or across the mouth of a pitcher. Okay. When Titus was being a big nudnik, so then they said that the brides also can't go out with these wreaths on their head. My atros kalos, what are these bride wreaths? Amr Rabba Bar Bechana Amr Yochanan Ir Shel Zov. It's a city of gold, some kind of tiara. What's a tiara? I don't know. Tanya Namihachi. We also learn a price like this. Ezu Atros Kalos. What are the bride's wreaths? Ir Shel Zov, a city of gold. Okay. Aval Osa keep him Shalmelis. One may make an ornamental headpiece for a bride in the form of a cap of fine wool. Okay, Tana was taught in Brisa. Afal chupas chasanim gazu. They also decreed against bridegrooms' canopies. My chupas chasanim. What are these canopies? Zohoris hamuzhavos, crimson cloths trimmed with gold. Sounds nice. Tana Amiyachi, we also learn in Brisa like this. Eluin chupas chasanim. What are these bridegrooms' canopies? Zohoris hamuzhavos, crimson cloths trimmed with gold. Avalosa papyrus. But one may make a lattice, vitoleba kol, mashirtza, and hang upon it whatever he wants. Okay. Oh, okay. I think I'm done with the article for now. And I'm just going to go back into the Gemara. Sorry, I'm just like exhausted. I don't know. I'm like freaking exhausted. All right. Fine. And a fellow should not teach his son Greek. So apparently there were two Hasmonean kings. One was named Aristobulus, and the other one was named Hyrcanus, and they were fighting. They were, I think, brothers, and they both wanted to be king. Alright. So when they were like, so one of them was like in Jerusalem, the other one was like besieging him outside of Jerusalem. So Hyrcanus was like besieging on the outside and Aristobulus was inside. And with Hyrcanus on the outside was like a bunch of Romans and stuff. So every single day, from inside Jerusalem, they would like lower down to outside the walls some money, and with that money, they would exchange that for the animals that they needed to offer in the Beis Hamikdash, and the people on the outside would basically, hoist up these animals to be sacrificed in the Beis Hamikdash. Inside the city, there was a certain elder, and he knew Greek wisdom. So he told the Romans on the outside in Greek that as long as you are as long as the Yidden are offering these korbanos, so they're going to be saved. They're not going to fall into the hands of the Romans. And then what happened was the next day, when the people inside Jerusalem gave the money, bekupa, in the pouch, and the Romans then brought out, made sure they whatever it was, basically a pig was instead of a lamb, they sent a pig. When the pig got halfway up the wall, right, they were pulling it up the wall, and it stuck its fingernails in its nails into the wall. And Eretz Yisrael then had quaked 400 parsas. Also, at that time they said, nobody's allowed to. It's cursed is a person who raises pigs. And also, you can't teach your son Chochmas Yuvanis, otherwise you get cursed. And that year they taught that year, because there was the siege going on. Normally you'd want to bring the Omer and the Shtei Lechem from a place that's as close to Jerusalem as possible, but because of the siege and everything going on, they had to bring it from further away places. I guess the fields were destroyed and stuff. One second, is it really true that you're not allowed to teach your son Chochmas Yuvanis? But Rebbe said that in Eretz Yisrael you can't. There's no reason to learn the Sorsi language. Ella Ilashon Kodesh, Ilashon Yuvanis. Either learn Lashon Kodesh or Greek, but no need for Sorsi. Rav Yosef Bavel Lashon Arami Lama. Rav Yosef says you don't need Aramaic in Bavel. Ella or Lashon Kodesh or Lashon Parsi, either Persian or Lashon Kodesh. But we see that Rebbe was okay with Lashon Yuvanis. So the Gemara says Lashon Yuvanis Suchud v'Chochmas Yuvanis Suchud Einachinami. Those are two separate things. Lashon Yuvanis and Chochmas Yuvanis. Lashon Yuvanis is okay. Chochmas Yuvanis is not okay. The Chochmas Yuvanis miasir, but is Chochmas Yuvanis really such a big deal? V'Amar Yehuda Amar Shmuel says Yehuda name Shmuel Mishum B'Shimon Gamliel Ma'adech Siv Eini Ola L'Nafshi Mikobnos Iri. That and my eyes are really uglier than the girls of my city. Elef Yiladim Hayu Bebeis Abba. There were 1,000 children in my father's house, says Reb Shimon Gamliel. Chamish Meos Lamdu Torah, Chamish Meos Lamdu Chochmas Yivanis. 500 of them learned Torah, 500 of them learned Chochmas Yivanis, Greek wisdom. V'Nashai Meim Ela Ani Kan, and only out of all 1,000, only I remain. Uven Achi Abba, and also my first cousin Be'asya, and he's in a place called Asya. Shiny shall Beis Rabbi Gamliel dekoven the Malchus Havu. So don't bring a proof from the household of Rabbi Gamliel that you're allowed to study Chochmas Yivanis, because since the household of Rabbi Gamliel was close to the king, so they were allowed to learn Chochmas Yivanis. The Tanya is willing to buy some misaper kumi harizim darkei amori, that there's this like very fancy haircut where they would basically shave off just the front half of their head, and that was very fancy, and that's one of the ways of the amorim. And Jews are not allowed to do that because it's a darkei amori. Avtulus ben Ruvain hitiru l'saper kumi, but Avtulus ben Ruvain they permitted to get this very fancy haircut. Shehu karv l'machos, because he was close to the king, and I guess it was okay in that context. And the house of Rabbi Gamliel, they were allowed to learn Chochmas Yivanis because they were also close to the king. In the last destruction of Israel, so they made a gzera that a bride should not go out in this thing that she would sit in and they would carry her around. My time of Mishum Tzniusa, because of Tznius. I don't know, I guess it wasn't Tznius. When Rabbi Yochanan, I think Ben Zakkai died, so then the radiance of wisdom went away. When Rabbi Eliezer died, it was like a Sefer Torah died, right? Meaning like went away, because Rabbi Eliezer basically was a walking Sefer Torah. When Rabbi Yeshua died, so like advice and thought went away. When Rabbi Akiva died, the pillars of Torah went away. And the well springs of wisdom were closed. When Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah died, the crowns of wisdom died. That the crown of wisdom is wealth, and Elazar ben Azariah, of course, was very wealthy. When Chanina ben Dosa died, but said, and the people who could do like miracle workers kind of went away. Rabbi Yossi ben Kitonta Batlu Chassidim, when Rabbi Yossi ben Katonta died, and Chassidim, they were no longer Chassidim. Yossi ben Katonta, what was his name? Rabbi Yossi ben Katonta Shahaya Mikatne Chassidim, because he was like from the smallest of the Chassidim, I guess the least of them. Mishmeis ben Azai Batlu Ashaktanim, when Ben Azai died, the people like really know how to be Omel Batorah. Went away. Mishmeis ben Zoma Batlu Adashanim. When Ben Zoma died, the people expounded the Torah, went away. Mishmeis Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Alagovai. When Rabbi Shimon Gamliel died, locusts came, V'tzaros, V'rabutzaros, and all sorts of other bad stuff. Mishmeis Rabbi Uchbelutzaros. When Rabbi died, all sorts of bad things happened. Mishmeis Rabbi Batlu Anov V'Yarschep. When Rabbi died, so humility and fear of sin went away. Amalei Rav Yosef, says Rav Yosef Etana, Lo tisne anova dika ana. So Rav Yosef said to the Tana, he said, right, to the person teaching these brises, so he says, don't say that when Rabbi died, humility went away, because there's me, I'm humble. Dika ana. Amalei Rav Nachman, the Tana, Rav Nachman said to the person teaching brises, Lo tisne yiraschet dika ana. Don't teach that people who fear sin are no longer, because there's me, I fear sin. Hajan alach la'urf of susikala Masechta Sotah. Wow, friends, my apologies for this daf. I don't know, freaking exhausted, man. I mean, the last few dafs have just been absolutely draining. And also just like a bunch of work going on in the house. I don't know, I'm like all over the place. But even so my apologies for the last daf, but I feel like we should talk for a second. We just finished, like, if Shas is divided into like 20 books in some like separations. So we just finished the 9th book, and that was Nidarim, Nazir, and Sotah. So we've been like learning this one book for like 6 months, which is crazy. It's also kind of heavy. Anyways, friends, that was it was a crazy run from Nidarim to Nazir and then Sotah, and Sotah got a little bit overwhelming there at the end, but kind of an interesting trifecta. Tomorrow we start Masechta Gittin, which is a little bit crazy because we start Masechta Gittin, which then do Gittin, Kiddushin, Bavakam, Bavmatzia, Bavbasa. It's just like straight Yeshiva Masechtas for, I don't know, like 2 years or something. Alright, peace out.